So here's the knife. This is one of the Cold Steel's Lite variations of some of their expensive knives. They do the same with the Pendleton Lite Hunter, which I'll show you in a second. It's like the blueprint of the knife is the Pendleton Hunter, which is quite an expensive knife made of premium steel materials. They get the same sort of template and make it out of lower cost materials. Not cheap materials, just low price materials. So it's kind of the best material you can get for a knife that's really going to cost you less than $40 in Australia, or $20 in America. So this one here, as is with the Pendleton, is made out of 4116 German stainless steel. They always specify German. I think there's the assumption that because it's German it's more efficient, I don't know. But it's a 4116 German Krupp steel. It's a full tang knife. This is a really substantial feeling knife. It's light, but it feels really, really solid. I thought it was going to feel flimsy. I thought from the pictures the handle was going to be almost just smooth with some mild sort of plasticky fake texturing, but it's not. And I thought that it wasn't a full tang knife, but it actually is. You can see the tang there. So what you get is this 6-inch trailing point blade. A trailing point means that the point is at least in line with the spine, but this one is even a little bit higher, so it trails up. You get lots and lots of belly on this knife. You get a ricasso to sharpen all the way back to, and you get a few little features on the spine as well. You have a flat portion here, then you have this somewhat swedgy portion here, and then you've got some mild jimping, which is sort of enough to grab a gloved hand, but not really enough to do much else. This portion here is made for cracking bones, which kind of starts to indicate what this knife is for. This isn't a bushcraft knife, and it isn't a survival knife. This is a camp knife. It's mainly a food-based knife. So you're going to use this in pretty much all the aspects of food preparation at camp, and it does that very, very well. For my testing, I'm not a hunter, so I just used it as a slice test in my kitchen on some vegetables and things, and it did really, really well. I think the first thing I cut was lettuce. Cut some lettuce. Sort of thing you might make sandwiches at camp with. So cut myself some lettuce, and yeah, it shreds it up. It's got a nice wide blade, long blade, sorry, that really spans most larger things that you're going to slice. It's a saber grind, which is, not usually the best slice and grind, but because it's only 3mm thick, the knife, perhaps 3.2mm thick, it's quite thin, so the saber grind actually does a really, really good job. This knife comes really, really sharp from the factory as well. So I cut up some lettuce, and then I cut up some potatoes, and again the potatoes did a really, really good job. Once you get used to cutting with a saber grind, it was making some nice thin slices of potato. Not that you're going to use thin slices of potato for much, except for maybe a potato bake, but it's more just to demonstrate that the knife can slice food very well. Then I moved on to onions, red onions, cut them really well. Again, no effort pushing through the material. It's because it's nice and sharp and thin. It didn't send the material bouncing all over the place. Exactly what you want from a good camp kitchen knife. I did take it out and do some woodworking with it, but it's really not a particularly good woodworking knife. You could use it if you were pressed into that scenario, and of course it's better than having no knife, or better than trying to use, a blunt, small pocket knife, or, it's a fixed blade knife, so it's still going to be better than most pocket knives or kitchen knives at cutting wood, obviously, so it has got an air of multi-purposeness to it. However, it's certainly more a food knife and not a wood knife. I just found it wasn't quite biting into the wood that well, even though the edge was really, really sharp, and it still is really, really sharp. It just wasn't, it was just kind of skimming along the surface. It wasn't biting in like, say, a Scandinavian or even the convex grinds tend to. It was one extreme or the other. You glide across the top and not take much off, or you could really just push in and it wasn't doing a great deal. It's too thin for betoning wood. You'll see it in hand. You hold this knife in your hand and it just doesn't strike you as something that you'd want to do with it. I tried doing it anyway and it just didn't work that well. The first piece of wood I tried in it got stuck and just wouldn't go any further. It was hard to get out. Lucky it's a full tang knife, so I could do some striking, as you probably see in the footage. Could do some striking to get that out, but yeah, not ideal for betoning. You could use it for thin sticks and things like that, but just not the purpose of the knife. The grip of the knife that's actually really, really rubbery, and it's quite nice to hold. It's really simple as well. So it's a cylindrical, yeah, there's no real swells or anything, but just a cylindrical, straight sort of stick handle. Anyone's hand would go well on this. If you've got big hands, this is a good knife for you as well. You get lots of spare handle there. Really, really comfortable to hold, and it's not that hard rubbery. It's got that it's got that soft or stickiness to it a little bit, so it's really good in a bare hand. So if you are doing camp kitchen stuff on a cold morning, it's quite good for grip and stuff. You don't have to go and put your gloves on, anything like that. So quite a good handle. This here is just the hard plastic stuff. So you got really hard plastic here and really hard plastic here, and then this middle part is like a rubberized material. So I'm not sure if it's, I can't see any seams, so I think it must just be how the rubber is treated. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with the handle, so it's good. The sheath it comes with, probably already saw, it's another one of these nylon numbers, really, really ultra cheap. It's where they save a lot of their money, I'm sure. You push the knife in, it holds it, you sort of like kind of jam it in there, and it's fine, it sits there, it's not going to come out, it doesn't make any rattle or anything of course, but it's just not the, certainly not the best sheath, probably one of the worst sheaths you get on a production knife that's, you know, not complete garbage, you know, not a garbage brand, so, but it is what it is, and it holds the knife, and I guess that's what you want it to do. So that is the Cold Steel Outdoorsman Lite. I think this knife has really good applications for hunting, especially large game hunting. The trailing point tip would actually make for a reasonable pig sticking blade. I know it's not got the second swedge, so it's not going to pierce as well as some of those purpose-made knives, but if you're just looking to getting into sort of a hunting and using a hunting or a dispatch knife, so not just a knife for finishing the animal and sorry, not just a knife for butchering the animal, but for actually finishing the animal, it's probably a good starter choice if you don't want to spend too much money. You'll pay about $40 from this. I got mine from Aussie Knives for about $42 plus shipping. Very, very happy with it. Whether I'll keep it or not, it's probably not for me. I probably don't do enough of the exact type of work that it's required for, that it's designed for, but I just like to get these things and test them and get my head around them and make videos on them. It's kind of my hobby, so there you go. Thanks for watching, dudes. That's the Cold Steel Outdoorsman Lite. See you later.